Hey there, my wonderful listeners. How are you? I want to welcome you back to Business Weekly with your girl, Miss J. This is, your go to spot is for real talk about building businesses that last. Now, I think I'm almost at my 20th show or somewhere around that, and I've been playing with different things. And I want you to let me know what's working for you. Like we were just talking backstage around the 4-part series that I did this month in regards to operations, systems, and processes with my girl, Chris Ann-Miche. Yeah, we girls now, that's how we do. We girls now. But we really want to know your feedback. We want to know, so please let me know. You can go on my page, Empire by Design _ on IG, or you can email info at love. Sorry, here I go again, mixing up my words today. You can email me at info@empirebydesign.ca. But we are going to get into the final part of a 4-part series that we were talking about in operations. And as you know, I'm Miss J, your host with the mostest. Oh, it's not me. It's my internet. Sorry, y'all. It's chipping on me over here. Okay, we're back. All right. So it's your girl, Miss J, host with the mostest, your drip strategist and your boss methodologist. And today we're tackling something that can make or break your business. What happens when the founder, yep, that's you, or someone key has to step back suddenly or is having an issue? Now, I've seen it happen a lot. Some brilliant entrepreneur starts a business, pours their heart and soul into it, and then life just starts lifing, right? It just throws you a curveball. Maybe it's an illness, or maybe it's family, or maybe it's your significant other, or maybe they're just getting so old that they're just ready to retire. Whatever the reason is, when the founder falls, the business's true resilience or disasters come to light. Because it boils down to one thing. And if you say it in the chat, if you know, say it in the chat. It boils down to systems. Ty B, what's up? Are you laughing at me? Yes, you can. I was laughing at myself. Hey, Miss Sharice is in the building. Hey, Miss J, how you doing, girl? I miss you, mama. All right. Now, the thing it boils down to is systems, or sometimes the lack of them. And I'm talking about the processes that those are the scalable, repeatable. And here's the key: the ones embedded in your company's culture. Now you're saying to me, Miss J, I don't have a team. I don't have staff. It's just me. I wear all the hats. Well, guess what? You can sit down and have a boardroom meeting with all of the hats that you're wearing. Just put the hats on the table and then talk to each other as if you have a full team, because culture starts whether or not you have one person or you have thousands of people. I want you to think of your business drip. Let's put that in there. Let's think about it from a drive, resilience, innovation, and progression perspective. If you want your business to thrive beyond your personal influence, then building a solid operational system is your boss, right? Building solid operational systems is the boss. And that's the boss move that you want to take. Now, we spoke about 3 other parts. We spoke about first, scaling chaos, why your business can't grow without a system. Then we also spoke about the profit leak, how missing processes drain your bottom line. That was a good one, actually, because a lot of people had feedback on that and sent in a lot of questions. And the key thing I loved about those questions was that they were really starting to think about their financial picture. And that's important as a CEO, that you're always looking at where money is seeping out. It could be those little subscriptions we talked about. It could be something that you're buying, you're over inventorying too much product. So if you didn't get a chance to listen to that one, go back. You can catch it here on Love Bay Radio. You can go on my channel and you can find it, or you can go into my website, empirebydesign.ca, and you can check out the media page, and all of my shows are there as well. Then we talked about client confusion, how operational gaps hurt your reputation. So these 3 shows, if you've missed them, please go back and hit the replay. And this one is the last of the series about when founders fall, how a lack of system puts your business at risk. And so we don't want your business to topple. We don't want that to happen. We want you to have an amazing business. Now, why do I say we? Well, because I'm always about talking with people who know what they're talking about. And I've been blessed to have Chris Ann-Miche. Good evening, Empressing in the building. Welcome, welcome to Love It Afrobeat Music Talk Radio Sweet Spot. Hello, CEO Stace is in the building. Do you see these are the CEOs who are showing up regularly? And it's important. I tell them all the time, don't just be okay with coaching. Be okay with being in every room that talks about business, because business is a language. And once you understand the language, you can understand how to further your business. And as I'm going back to my girl here, Chris Ann, a multidisciplinary consultant, she's going to be coming to talk a little bit more about this topic. As if you didn't know, I'm going to reintroduce her again as I do every show. She's a multidisciplinary consultant who bridges the gap between business structure and creative expression. With a dual focus on operations management and creative direction, she helps small businesses and thought leaders bring clarity, cohesion, depth, and intentionality to both their internal systems and outward-facing work. In her creative direction work, Chris Ann partners with visionaries, creatives, and entrepreneurs to bring their ideas, frameworks, and lived experiences to life through ghostwriting, co-authoring, editing, book design, or learning design. So if you're looking for your next book, I know she's going to be doing mine. I'm excited. I can't wait. But if you're looking to start to cement your legacy, please hit her up. If you have systems and processes, like we both work in the same field, but we have our own specialties. So definitely hit her up and see if there's anything that she can do for you and make that happen. So without further ado, let's welcome Chris Ann to the show. I'm excited to get her take on this topic today. Lady!
Hello.
Girl, you see me out arguing with the words today, the tongue's twisting.
That's okay. It might make two of us, but we're here and we're gonna do it.
Right? When we start talking all French and German and whatnot, you guys just get connected. Get connected because we're in the place. If you're from around the world, welcome, welcome. I missed you. I'm glad that you're back. Welcome, Chris Ann, to Love the Afrobeat Music Talk Radio right here on Business Weekly. 4 shows in. Geez, I might have to make you my co-host. Right? 4 shows.
Listen, I'm not mad. Call me back anytime.
Girl, you know that's gonna happen. You know that's gonna happen because listen, when you get good people to talk to in the conversations that night, I might just have to do it twice. Right?
Okay.
But you definitely will be back. That's a given. So let's jump right in because we have the safe room after this. So I'm shouting out to the safe room. Please log in at 8:00. Take a quick break after my show and come back and hear more great things that are happening on the Love Bait radio station. And guess what? Girl, I'm going to tell you this. Check out their website. Woo! If you haven't been on the website in a while, the website's looking bomb, y'all. So, yeah, I just went back to the 80s. Looking bomb, y'all. I'm like, who does that anymore?
Oh, listen.
I do.
We brought it back for a bit. After a while, we did because
in the chat, throw a word that we just brought back to life that probably should never see the light of day again.
It's okay. These things
were great.
It's cyclical. It comes back. It will come back.
Remember psych? I don't care you psych. That was my word. Right. When somebody bun you, like he got psych. Yeah, let me tell you, I'm gonna have a 90s business talk. What did we do back in the 90s for business? That would be a story.
Boy.
That would be a story. So let's talk about these founders, these people who say, I'm the founder and the CEO of. I love when they say that. It's so cute. But why, can you share maybe why businesses, especially in the startup or growth phase, overlook building strong operational systems early on? What kind of
Okay. So I have a couple of things that I want to say about that. I want to say money, time, and usually not sure where to start. And so for the money, I think people think that it's not necessary, especially when it's either it's just you being a solopreneur or it's a very small team. People think that I don't need to bring in anybody to do that, right? But the problem with that thinking is that you're not really thinking for the growth of the business. So I think that's one thing you now need to ask yourself. Okay, if you're saying that it's not necessary, are you thinking about the growth of the business? And that doesn't necessarily mean that it's just oh, I'm thinking about having a large team. But even if you're thinking of scaling a product necessarily, like,
Mhm.
okay, if you think that there's no time, are you thinking about the growth, right? In terms of time, some people, it's not a case of they don't want to do it. It's a case of, they have so much going on that for them
Mhm.
to take the time to actually do it themselves, especially at a beginning stage, it's always easier to put the structure in place at the beginning, right?
Yes.
Um, but for some people, it's like, okay, cool. Now I'm looking at this system. My business is growing. I don't know what to do. And I just don't have the time.
Mhm.
Um, and so that's one other thing. Again, you have to look at, okay, how long are you going to continue like this? Right.
Yeah,
Because
thousand
if,
percent.
if things are growing, right, all that's going to happen is if you don't put these things in place, you're going to move from a point of confusion because there's just too much going on.
And I don't even think you
Um,
have the ability to really even grow, right? Because at the end of the day, I think a lot of people feel that being busy means growth, and that doesn't always equate to that. You could be
true.
busy doing the same level of revenue every month. And I find that when founders are busy doing everything, they're almost busy doing nothing because they all the hats that they're wearing then
Hmm.
comes, I'm going to do that later. I'm going to do it later.
Hmm.
I'm going to set up that system later. Yeah, I thought about it, but I'm going to do that in next month. Oh, well, I'm going to start next year.
100%.
And that just becomes what you start painting the picture on and everything on the to-do list, right? Like, so if you're,
Hmm.
whether it's
Hmm.
marketing, sales, customer service, or you just start delaying. If you're in the listening, throw in the chat something that you said you're going to do in one of your departments. I'd be interested to see which department takes a big hit. Is it sales? Is it marketing? Customer service? I asked that question because I have an answer to it. But I'd like to see, what people are thinking. If you're hitting the replay, think about it. Think about what are you saying? I'll get to later. I'll get to it later. Where is that going?
But I think even reasonably though, you have to think even as one person or a small team, there's only so much that you can do as one person, right?
Yeah,
And there's only so many hours and so many skills you can actually allot to that time. So you slow yourself down by not actually getting somebody else
yeah,
involved or getting an expert to look at things, so that you can actually grow.
yeah. And then when you step away from it, that's when it falls apart, right? And
100%.
yeah, bringing on, and I like to coach or build models where I say to people, I'm going to build a system that you will use when somebody else comes on. So in other words, let's not try to, think too close. See, what says customer follow-up. CRMs, yes. Okay, these are good responses. Good to know. Good to know. Good to know. Yeah, and this is pretty standard. I think a lot of
Mhm.
people don't, they underestimate the power of following with customers or having a proper system that takes care of your clients or customers when you are busy, right? Being a
Mhm.
salesperson, or when you're busy doing something, you need these types of systems. Thank you for that. Thank you for those answers. And I was
Mhm.
just finishing off that thought I had was that when you don't build sustainable systems and strategies, the moment you step away, you can't, like, it just can't be picked up by the person coming in after you. And so whether
Mhm.
you're starting to build a team, whether you're starting to bring on your social media manager or your operations person or whoever it is, you have to have that structure already in a sustainable position so that person can pick it up and run with it.
Mhm. And I think that's the next thing. Again, going back to growth, like you said,
Mhm.
that structure, people are not thinking back, okay, how can I grow this? Right? Because delegation is a big part of growing sometimes, right? Delegating to other professionals, delegating to systems, delegating to many things. So it's just, if you are thinking about growth, this is something that you have to ask yourself because at some point in time, life.
Yeah, it lies.
And
And slap you
life.
right upside your head sometimes too, right? You
Mm-hmm.
catch your
And
sense.
you will have to step away. So what happens then, right?
Yeah, 1,000%. Which leads to conversation I want to have around the core components of a strong operational system. Let's talk a little bit about how can we develop something that will serve even when we're not around to run it. I have a few that I'd like to share, but let's start off with what you have in your thoughts.
I think the two biggest for me would be some SOPs and making sure that standard operating procedures, making sure they're accessible, right?
Mhm.
And or an organized knowledge infrastructure. So somewhere where you store all your files and making sure it's accessible to the right people.
Yes, and
Um,
that's not your notebook, people. Let's just be clear. It
no,
cannot just exist in your Dollarama notebook, okay? Because you have to write it down and put it somewhere where people can access it. All right. So when you're thinking about those types of systems, whether it's an SOP, and that an SOP creates consistency. That is a foundation of
mhm,
consistency, right? That's the
mhm,
key word, standard operating procedure, which means it doesn't change every time someone says something to you, or it doesn't change day to day just because you woke up and said, I'm going to do it this way this time, right? You
mhm.
have to create things that can be followed over and over. And that's why they say kids love routine, because it's a standard operating system. You wake up, you brush your teeth, you bathe, you do whatever you need to do, you get ready for school, you eat your breakfast, and then you head out. That's considered a standard operating system. So it might sound
Mhm.
in business so scary, but really it isn't. It's a routine. What is this something buddy will do? A routine or a process that you do repeatedly that does not alter.
And I think too, into that, and you know how I love to talk about risk management from that last episode.
RMA, baby. I
Um,
love that comment. I love that one too. Trust me.
I I think that that's another thing in terms of, okay, well, you have to plan for moments where you'll step away, right?
Yes.
And so um, you can have your SOPs, you can have your other systems, you can have your automations. You need to plan for that. And a part of making sure that your business stays on track is planning in, making
Mm-hmm.
sure that, okay, what are the things that I can do if I am sick? What are the things that I can do if I want to go on vacation?
Yep.
What will happen then, and I think reverse engineering is a beautiful way to look at that.
Mm-hmm.
um, if you don't have the capacity, even planning for that and saying, okay, I only have the capacity to do this, so how am I going to run my business in a way that
Yeah.
allows me to do this and step away? So yeah, I would say those are my biggest things.
Mm-hmm.
There's more, of course, and I'm sure you have more assistance to
Always,
definitely
always,
share.
when you get into operations, people don't realize it's like you become a jack of all trades, and that's
Hmm.
what people used to ask me. Well, what kind of businesses do you build? I'm like, everything. I don't know. What are you talking about? Like to me, operations is standard. Like no matter where you go, whether if you're running a corner store, if you're running a conglomerate, it's still the same to me in things. But one thing I will add to what you said last in terms of what can you do to step away, clear documented processes. That's probably one
Hmm.
of the fastest ways that you can start to take steps away from your business. Think of it like a GPS for your
Yep.
team, right? Everyone knows where to go. Everyone knows how to plug in and get what they need done in any department. And that creates the culture of a value system, right? Or what we call value systems adherence, right? You're creating a culture where they're not all trying to do their own thing. I had a client, or have a client, and that was one of the things that we had to clean up in her business. Was it was such a great concept, but everybody was kind of doing their own thing with it, and so it wasn't leading to a streamlined consistency where the end user wasn't getting consistent results or consistent service delivery. So you want to align with your boss methodology. That's the term I use all the time. That's again building operational systems and strategies that are going to give people the ability when they join your team to
Hmm.
be able to help you grow the business, right? And make it simple enough that they can understand. And for your users, it reduces that client confusion we were talking about, right? It reduces that, that what do I do? Where do I go once I get to your website? And that's how we talk about automation. Those tools and techs are going to help you to reduce that work. And sometimes it's as simple as having, for example, a automation on an email chain. One of my clients, she's super at that. She actually sets it up that whoever joins her newsletter, the first four, shout out to my girl Yaga, my locks, Miss Letitia, she kills the game on that. She has it set up that once you join the newsletter, there's 4 automated emails that come out to you weekly before you just join the regular chain, because it's her way of introducing the business, you know. So there's lots of great ways that you can go about monitoring that. If you're just coming in, welcome to Love the Afrobeat Music Talk Radio. You're here with your girl, Miss J, your host and drip strategist and boss methodologist, and you're here with Chris Ann-Miche, the multidisciplinary consultant. We both master operation systems and processes. We talk about it like it's our second love. Yes, red bottom shoes has nothing on a good stop. Am I right? Or am I right? So if you're just tuning in, welcome. We've had 2 topics we've talked about so far, and just giving you a fresh what businesses are overlooking in the startup or growth phase. So we talked about that, and we just finished talking about some of the core components. So if you are hitting, just hit the replay after this, listen to the beginning of the show. I was fudging all over the place when I got here because your girl is on the grind. But we're going to now jump back in. And if you haven't subscribed, hit subscribe, please. We are building. The numbers are going up. People are starting to, mind you, we have a lot of views worldwide, but we want the channel to build. We just don't want people popping in and out. We want you to subscribe. I want you to go and visit all the other shows and be here with wonderful guests like Chris Ann, who are making change in our industries. Let's get back into the convo. What are some of the common mistakes business owners are making when it comes to implementing new systems and processes?
Okay. These 2 go together. Testing and feedback loops. Testing and feedback loops.
Talk dirty to me, honey. Yes, honey. Yes, talk to me.
What I've noticed is that sometimes people roll out things a little bit too quickly, right?
Yeah.
You need to know what works for your business, and you need to not only test it to see if it works, you need to provide avenues to hear the different feedback, you know, whether it's from customers, whether it's from your own staff, whether it's from, you know, consultants, going through your processes to make sure that everything is flowing seamlessly. I am so big on just taking time with the rollout, because I really hate redoing certain things, right?
Yeah, but you
And
find
so
I'm going to ask you this, because we have to say this clearly. There's a difference when you roll something out, and then there's a difference when someone's taking 6 months to a year to roll out something. So let's just give them a little bit on that there on the timeline a little bit.
So I think you also have to factor in, again, what somebody who knows what a rollout should look like actually implements the rollout. And then when you're trying to roll out something, but you're also quite disorganized, right? And so one of the things, again, the risk management, the project planning, I am huge on that. I think that you need to assess every part of, your rollout, make sure those different feedback loops are in there, right?
Yes.
And you need to plan realistically on the timeline. There's a difference between having a plan and rolling something out and just being hopeful, right? Which I think a lot of us are like, we have, I think we talked about it on one of the other episodes, just having all these ideas, right? But no plan in place to actually make sure that these things get done and executed, right? So I think that is one of the big things. But also,
I'm going to
go
jump in
ahead.
there. I would tie to that. Exactly that. Trying to do everything at once. You want to remember progress is better than perfection, right? So don't wait too long to put it out. I tell people, if you wait too long, there's always somebody else who has a similar idea. And, they say, Talent fails. If talent doesn't work hard, hard work will be talent. So you could be the best at it, but if you're not really putting in the work and getting it out there, there's somebody else out there who's wanna.
100%. And you know
Yeah.
what? I'll take some moments to speak to that as I call myself a recovering perfectionist. Um, and one of the things I've learned to do is start with the most lean version possible.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah,
Start
yes,
with
that.
the simplest version possible and
Mm-hmm.
then build from there and iterate from there. Um, you know,
Yeah.
what so say for instance you're dealing with design, what is the cleanest design that I can do in the most minimum amount of time that I don't have to iterate, right?
Mm-hmm.
To cut down on that time, because again, like you said, there will always be somebody who is willing to put something out there before you, but also if
Mm-hmm.
you don't want to also get stuck, you don't
Yeah.
want to get stuck.
Yeah.
And so again, starting from the simplest thing first, putting that out there and building on that.
And
And
that's
that's exactly how you should do your systems, to be honest, right?
and that's
And
a
seeing what
scalable.
works.
That's
Hmm.
what's scalable about it. I'm sorry, I thought you were finished there.
Exactly.
Um,
Oh, no, no,
I'm,
go ahead.
I feel like I'm having a delay. Like I'm looking at myself talking to myself 5 seconds later. So I'm going to tell something to my future self. I just did it. Um, but yeah, no, definitely keeping it simple, scalable, and align it. Well, for me, I like to tell my clients align it with the drip principle. You got to build things with drive, resilience, innovation, and progression. You can't think of it as it's a one thing, and don't overcomplicate it. Same with business
Hmm.
plans. People tell you, "Oh, business plans are so complicated." No, your vision is. The business plan is just a piece of paper you wrote it on. But if you can't understand your own business plan, sweetie, take a moment, grab some tea, and sit down with it and really be honest with yourself. So I hear you 100%. You have to refine your systems and make sure that
Hmm.
they aren't just set it and forget it. I think a lot of people do that too.
That's
They
another
think, right? Cookie cutter approach.
one. Yeah. I would even add, one is a lack of analysis and audit. We're going back to see if you listen to the previous sessions,
Mhm.
everything is interconnected. But
Yes.
I think the next thing is that people are making certain decisions without enough information.
Mm,
And that I think is a common mistake when it's just like, we're going to roll this out. So, say for instance, you have this plan to roll out your marketing part of the business, but you really don't have enough information on your audience. You might roll something out just because you're excited to do it and this is your idea, that's not actually getting to your targeted audience. So
I
you
love
have to, I think sometimes we run ahead because we're so excited. And as I said before, my goal in operations is not to tell somebody they can't do something, but it's to, sometimes you got to slow them down or just reorganize
Oh,
things.
you're good. I tell them
So
no. That's the big word. They get nope. They're like, but Miss J, nope. Yeah, because, and I always tell them, it's like it's not that I don't want you to do it. You just have to be aware of how much time and money goes into the plan, right? And some
Mhm.
people just need to hear no. Some of my clients, they'll be the first to tell you, I will be. I jump on the screen and they're afraid to open their mouth and say something to me because they know. And if I say yes, they're like, oh my god, you said yes. Oh my god, I thought you were gonna say no. But I'm like, because it makes sense, right? So you have to get that buy-in. To your point, your market has to buy in. You cannot just have ideas and then hope that, because your warm market will always say yes. You can make 65 fruity tooties of different flavors, and I will eat every single one of them because you are a friend, a family, my child, or whatever. But if I don't know you from Adam,
Yeah.
sweetie, that thing could go downhill so fast. So you're right. They have to know their market. They gotta know what's out there.
Mhm. And I'm just like, let me just shoot them up. Um,
Excellent. We trying to drop these gems for you, honey.
a lack of maintenance or an integration plan. You when you said the one and done. No, it's never one and done. You're always improving. You're always looking at what can be better.
Yeah.
Um, and sometimes too, by the time you feel like, all right, this system is perfect, you decide to add something else to your business. So you always have to be conscious of, okay, well, how are all these systems going to integrate together? Um, how am I going to maintain them? And doing a consistent plan to do that, right?
Yeah.
So are you going to do maintenance biweekly at a
Hmm.
certain time? Like these are the things that you need to plan for,
Yeah.
because and the more frequently, not over frequently, but the more frequently you do these things, your maintenance plan, um for instance, you'll know when something is going wrong quicker,
Hmm.
right?
100%.
Versus leaving it to figure it out a month or
Learn.
two later.
100%. That's called the evaluation process, y'all. Right. If you can evaluate how your current systems are scalable or are they ready for future growth, that's something, if you don't understand, that's something that we help you with. Because sometimes there's a lot of unexpected things that arise and they call them unexpected shocks. Like I'm broke. That's not a shocker, but I can see why you're shocked, right? It's something where people don't realize if you're not conducting those regular process audits, then or like a business checkup, and I'll just speak that in English, then you're not really seeing if things are actually working because sometimes young CEOs they tend to pile on more, and sometimes you get too much processes. Sometimes you have
Hmm.
so much you can't even keep up with your own processes, and then
Yep.
things start slipping through the crack here and there. So you want to
Hmm.
ask yourself, can my existing process handle a 2x or 3x increase in volume? That's a good self-evaluation question. That's a good business evaluation question. It's a good system question, a good process question. So business evaluation,
Yeah.
definitely.
100%. Yeah.
Right?
Um,
Do you think
I'm here.
do you advise your clients um, about automation delegation?
I do, but again, um, with automations, I'm very picky because I need to make sure that it's working smoothly.
Hmm.
Because the next thing is what can happen, and automations are they can be very one and done, right? Um, but the problem is you have to make sure that you set up everything to make sure that all the systems are talking to each other, right?
Yeah.
All these things are working together. So again, going back to the testing aspect, when you do set up automations, you know, make sure that what's supposed to happen is happening. You have to test it.
Mhm. Yes, definitely, because it has to be flexible and adaptable, right? So if it's not working, you got to be able to pivot the system so that it responds, right? So for example, if you were to have something where somebody wants to complain about your product or service, do you have an automation that says thank you for submitting, we will be within 24 hours? And sometimes people think you need to have expensive automation for that, and you don't. Everything automates now. Even before AI was a thing, you had automatic reply. That's an automation, right? Off your email. So when somebody emails, you set your email to reply automatically. Thank you for your submission. We will be within 12 to 24 hours, you'll be responded to. Those little simple things changes the game for your business, right? And it really gives your business a nice push. Let's talk a little bit about leadership, because when we encourage you to do operations, if you're just coming in, welcome to Love the Afrobeat Music Talk Radio with your girl Miss J, sitting here with Chris Ann, and we are talking about part four of our four-part series. Did that even make sense? Well, if it didn't, drink more alcohol and you'll be all right. So take another sip. Take another sip, and Miss J be making
I,
sense today,
I,
lady. Okay.
I didn't see that one coming.
I should have got my own little mixtures today. This level
Yeah.
of fatigue is real. Um, We encourage you, if you're here, we are on a 4-part series about operations, systems, and processes, something we love to talk about. If you're just tuning in, we are almost at the end of our show, but we've been talking a lot about understanding what happens when you, as the boss, the CEO, the founder, the ED, whatever role you play in a leadership capacity, what happens when you step away? Does your company still run? So if it does, you're doing a good job. If it doesn't, hit us up. Let's talk. Let's talk about the leadership component, because I think that's something that in a culture that is created by a leader is somebody who really understands the power of ensuring that their systems and processes are at that truly excellence or operational excellence. So what part do you feel does leadership play in creating that culture?
I think leadership plays a huge role because you have to want it for yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, the the thing about leadership is that when you are working with either contractors or staff, um, or even just yourself, if
Mm-hmm.
you don't want it, it will reflect in how you operate your business. There's no way you can hide it, right? Oftentimes, you know, our patterns and habits kind of reflect in the way we live our lives. They especially reflect when we are stressed, and business is oftentimes something stressful or something that people have to put a lot of time and effort into, especially in the beginning. So
Mm-hmm.
don't expect that, if you don't prioritize operations, that it's not going to show up in the way you run your business. You have to want it for yourself because it does take time to implement. So when you do want certain things for yourself, you take that time, even if for the first part of it is going to take a lot of effort, or you spend the money, or you spend the time learning the skills, or whatever it is. But you have to know that you have to put some effort into it in order for anybody that you're working with to see that it's important to you. I
Yeah.
think the next thing is that you have to use it, right? You have to encourage it, right? Um, you have to solicit and accept the feedback. You have to provide training on it.
Mhm. 100%.
Um, and I think that one of the big things I talk to clients about is hiring the right people. And you have to hire people who are in line with that, and try to make you mentioned this, try to make your processes as easy to use as possible. Sometimes you have all these processes and procedures for what, right?
Mhm.
Make it easy. The easier something is to use is the more somebody will actually use it,
Thousand
right?
percent.
And
And
so I think
make sure you're using it. You know what I mean?
exactly, exactly. And it
Yeah.
starts there because you could tell somebody to use it and they could watch you and say, well, you don't, right? And they see that that's not the priority. So, especially if you're in a situation where you're leading a team and you
Mhm.
keep telling somebody to use these things, but
Yeah.
somebody can come back to you and say, hey, like, you don't use it. So either this is not important or this system is not for us. Let's find something else. And that's where
Mhm.
getting the feedback is important. So that's what I think about leadership. You have to want it for yourself and you have to actually use it.
100%. And I want to throw a curveball to all you CEOs out there and business owners. This is something you do, if you think about it, you do with your children. You build systems, you build processes, right? Um, but then it also is that thing too, that if you are not following your own systems and processes, they will call you out. So if you say
100%.
clean your room and then your room looks like Hurricane Melissa, they're gonna call you out. If you
They
say
go.
make sure you're doing your homework or clean up after yourself, and then you leave the dishes in the sink, or you're watching TV and you haven't done your stuff, your business stuff, right? Like leadership is a strong word that a lot of people don't understand it. I find, and I know I'm going to be doing a series on leadership because that is something that people don't understand, that happens in every aspect of your life. And when you don't follow your own systems, you lose that credibility. people aren't going to buy into you because they're saying, well, if you don't do it, why should I? Right. So you're very right on that topic. Um, is it just me, or are we having a disco digital freeze party?
Uh, it's a little bit delayed, but
Okay, but you can still
yeah,
hear me. That's all that matters. Okay, cool.
yeah.
So if you're going to put, so for all you growing empires out there, if you're going to be putting in your systems, remember that you have to champion them from the top. You need to be the person to celebrate the wins of the system and then look for improvements where needed and make it fun. I mean, it's not always fun, but when you use it and it's working, then enjoy it, because that's a reward that you get for putting in that work. And as always, I'm going to be pumping, link it back to the drip. Drive the commitment, foster resilience, encourage innovation, and focus on progression. All right. So always keep those four letters in mind. Yes, I'm giving myself all type of freeze frames right now. Let's close off with our last topic. Can you share anything or experience a story of any solid operational system that helped a business not only survive but to thrive?
Okay. So I will say that if people are looking at um, probably an example of a system that survives and thrives, as much as I have my internal critiques, Amazon is a good system to look at.
Mhm.
Just from in terms of how they interface, they have a lot of client facing information. And I think that is one thing that you can look at to say, okay, well, I don't feel confused about what's happening here, right?
Yes.
Um, I think so. That's it for Amazon. I want to say that you know, shout out to all the very very competent professionals, because I think a lot of the time in different businesses you have very competent people who are confused behind closed doors, but put on a good face and get things done.
Right.
Um, but as somebody who is leading an operation or leading a business, you know, you will have fulfilled collaborators and staff when your operations are intact. They're easy to use. Everybody is clear. Don't stress people out for no reason.
1,000%.
Uh, And then I think my biggest example is um, for my time being a rental coordinator, so kind of setting up that department when COVID happened, or right before COVID, I had to transition out of my position, and so at that point in time, I was able to hand over a good set of principles for, a good set of SOPs, good set of examples of what would happen,
Mhm.
lessons learned, hand over to someone to now build on. And then the pandemic happened. But since then, I look at how my colleague manages things now, because I switched into a different role because I have my own things.
Right.
Um, but I look at how my colleague handles things now, and it's just proof that a good foundation can help something thrive and be organized once coming back up, right? He had an ample amount of information and processes and contracts and examples of how things have gone before to work with, to have it run as smoothly as it does now. And in terms of that, the amount of good reviews that we get in terms of how events were run and things of that nature, it just goes to show when those things are foundational, you can do the other things and do them well.
Those are facts. Those are facts. So this freeze frame has me all type of distracted. Just watching myself moving like frames. It's so funny. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm going to leave it right there. There's nothing left to be said. When you hear a system that's working, You just have to soak in the gems, honey. Take those notes, hit the replay, and look what Chris Ann did. She lived through her own, listened to her own advice, and she did her own standard, her SOPs and her standard operating procedures. She had clear documentation. She had meticulous automation. So it was working for her. Chris Ann, I want to thank you. I'll check on you backstage as soon as I wrap up the show. But I want to
Thank you for having me.
so much for being here with me. I can't wait till our next 3 or 4 part series on more conversations. I look forward to it. Okay, talk soon.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, my love. Oh, look at that beautiful freeze frame. My face looks like it's like, and she's just looking all cute. Isn't that just what happens? All right, my fantastic, fabulous listeners. Here's my challenge to you this week. Take a good, honest look at your business. Do you have systems that in place that can run the business without you? Are your processes documented, streamlined, and tested? If not, don't wait until something goes wrong for you to start that. Start small. A simple process, an audit, a team huddle to identify bottlenecks, whatever works for your organization, or just even updating your SOPs, right? That's something I want you to take a minute. If you're having that issue or you're feeling challenged or you just don't know what to do, please connect with your girl, Miss J. I'm here for you. Just email me at info@empirebydesign.ca. Remember, when a business relies too much on its founders, it becomes vulnerable, right? Even I know that I have to be able to coach without sometimes being there or have things in place so that my clients can get that continuous piece. And so when your business is built on resilient or a foundational system guided by my DRIP principles or my strategy, again, which is drive, resilience, innovation, and progression, it's one that will weather the storm, right? It will shift with the market and is also going to keep you moving forward. Okay, so I want to thank Chris Ann-Miche again, Miche, for another powerful conversation on operational systems and processes. I want you to thank you for being here today. I love the Afrobeat Music Talk Radio with your girl on Business Weekly. We'll be here every Thursday, 7 o'clock p.m. New topic, sometimes same guest, but always gems that are going to drop. So go ahead, go and build your operational boss. Make your business unstoppable. I want to thank you for tuning into Business Weekly. And until next time, this is your girl, Miss J. Be proactive, stay vigilant, and keep your profits flowing. And as always, keep your head in the sky, spread your wings, and let's fly. I'll talk to you next week. Enjoy the Safe Room coming up next. And don't forget to visit the website of lovebayradio.com because it looks fabulous. And they're not even finished yet, but it looks fabulous. So check it out, and we'll talk to you soon.